Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. If you're new to the show, our goal here is to create some content, some fantastic content for athletes, parents, and coaches. We tell stories, have laughs, and go into everything that is the end game of athletic performance, helping athletes achieve their optimal performance and be the best they can possibly be. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me today,
hello,
from the beautiful state of Wisconsin, back from Germany, Miss Meg Wolowicz. Meg, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.
Meg, this is exciting. You, big volleyball athlete, collegiate volleyball athlete at beautiful NIU, go Huskies.
Yeah.
And now you've been playing professionally these last few years and currently playing for SCC Palmer Schwerin.
Nice.
Was that okay?
Yes.
My German is so good, man. Jeez.
Yeah, same.
Make for the tens of people that listen to this show that might not know who you are and why you're such a big deal. Tell these people who you are and why you're such a big deal.
Well, I'm a professional volleyball player. I've been playing in Europe for 5 years now. I just finished my 5th season abroad.
Wow.
I know. I'm going back for season 6 in the same city in Germany. But yeah, I was a small town Wisconsin kid, went to NIU, like you had said. Really enjoyed my time at NIU. And then I was like, well, not quite finished with volleyball yet. I want to go try to play pro. So I spent a year in Czech Republic, 2 in Switzerland, 1 in Spain, and then I just finished in Germany. So I've been a lot all over. Here.
So let's talk. Let's talk current, and then let's work our way backwards.
Sure.
So, Meg, we got to train you for a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that first season out of college.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because just through knowing people in this sports scene and specifically the volleyball scene, we've seen a lot of people who have done the professional thing, and it's very interesting to see the people that it's very short-lived for, and the people that really love it and are milking every ounce that they can out of it, and which is more you here. Talk about this whole professional experience you've had.
Yeah, I think mine's been like a really kind of an odd path because like you said, that summer I was training with you guys. I was also coming off of a shoulder surgery.
Yes.
So I kind of went on a different path. I went to this it's called a fire sale, but basically it's a tryout for teams who still need certain players. They can come and kind of pick them up there, which was crazy in itself. I know that
fire sale sounds terrible.
I know. Well, it's what it is. And they just warn you to pack for 3 days or 10 days or like the 9 months. And I was there 3 days and got picked up, which was really lucky.
Wow.
It's just kind of the right path aligning, but I really like the pro lifestyle. There's really amazing things about it. And there's really things that are not so nice about it. But I mean, I practice twice a day, or I lift and I practice, and then you're playing every weekend. For me, this is the life, it's a dream life. You're playing volleyball and you're making money doing it. And and I get to see these places I didn't ever think I would see. And I never thought I'd leave the States, and I'm really proud of it. I think it's really cool. Obviously the ups and downs are lots of learning experiences. But to still be doing it after 5 years and like it enough to go back, I think I'm really fortunate with all of my own experiences with it.
Yeah. What do you think let's go here before we go there. You mentioned the ups and downs. For people that don't know, basically me, I don't know. Meg, what are the ups and the downs of playing professionally as a U.S. resident?
It's hard. It's hard because you spend 9 or 10 months away from your family, and I have never been back for Christmas yet. So I've really been all 5 years, 9 or 10 months away from home, except for the COVID year that we got sent home early. So you're gone a lot and you miss a lot of things. And I think that's probably the most challenging because you're just not close to people. I think there's also some places there's quite a bit of a language barrier. and not all countries love Americans. I know that's a big surprise.
Stupid
So
countries.
I know. So I was really fortunate in Switzerland to pick up French because that was the part of Switzerland I was living in. And so that made it so much easier. And it's really nice to have a second language abroad because everyone really has more than one language. It's normally like, for example, in Germany, they almost all of them have German and English. And then normally they have a third. It's really common. It's more common to have 3 languages than 2. And so I think that's also really hard. I mean, obviously we put our bodies to the test every season for 9 months, and that I'm seeing more and more as I get older. But there's also a lot of really, really positive things about it. And I see them still outweighing that, but 9 or 10 months is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think's been, because I'm just thinking through Sophie Bruner, who played basketball at Akron and then played at Arizona State, played overseas for a couple of years. You know, EJ and Brianna and Amber Rolfson and Katie Rolfson and like these stud athletes. And no offense to any of them, you've outlasted them all. But because why do you think that is? What is? Have you just gotten in the right situations? Are you just that because it would kill some people to miss Christmas 5 years in a row.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, definitely not easy. Definitely not easy. What do you think? Why is this working so well for you?
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple different reasons. I think I've probably gotten lucky in some of my places. Looking back, like I probably wouldn't have re-signed again in some of these places. So like in Switzerland, I got super lucky. I have some of my best friends are there. Like that was the most ideal situation you could have had. So that makes it really a lot easier. But like, for example, like in Spain, I lived in an apartment that was under construction for the 9 months I was there. So from 7:30 to 4:30, you hear construction, hammering and drilling literally every day. So like, I think there's situations like that when you're like, is it really worth playing? Because yes, I love playing, but doing this in my life is not so good. Then is it worth it? And I think that's when people start to come home. I also am really thankful that like getting the places I had to be was really hard. So like, I don't think I'm the most natural athlete. I think my path has helped me a lot, but I've had to really like head down and work. And I'm thankful for the people who've helped me do that because I wouldn't be here without them. But it's not easy playing pro, and you really have to grind and you really have to have a strong mentality. And not that that's why those players didn't make it, but I think it definitely, I've seen now, I feel so old saying this, like in my 5 years playing, you see a lot of people leave playing abroad. And I think it's not convenient. You have to put yourself out there. Normally, people don't really like the Americans in the beginning, and you kind of got to work your way in. And like, there's a lot of little things where it's like, I could easily see being like, you know what? I don't want to do it again. Like, I'm just not, it's a lot of work. It's really hard. But I think there's a lot of good, positive things that come. I think I've learned a lot, and then I'm just not ready, and I've liked it enough to keep going,
I'm curious, I'm just dialed in obviously with the strength conditioning piece, and obviously you lifted hard in college. You go on overseas, you go on these different teams. I've just heard stories for other people. Some people they take their strength conditioning very seriously, others they don't. Some seem like they really know what they're doing. Some seem like they don't. What's been your experience to keep you moving and the strength conditioning standpoint?
I would say 2 of my 5 years were rough, and the other ones were great. It's interesting because they're all different styles. Every place you go, the strength coach has a different style, and then you do something else, and like, I really liked my time in Switzerland. We did so much like balance and core and quickness, and it wasn't something I think that was like as emphasized in my years in the past. And those were my second and third year. Second and third year. And I think it was a really good time for my body. I was really more into the pro like lifestyle and more used to it. And then this past year, my strength coach is really, really nice in Germany. And it's nice because sometimes they don't always listen to you. He listens really well to your bodies because you know your body by now. So
Yeah.
I know if I have a game on this day and we do this exercise before, I won't be able to move for that. Let's do that earlier in the week, or, and I think that's been really nice. But like, for example, in Czech Republic, our bar was like this really tiny bar. It was like 7 kilos. So what is that, like almost 14, 15 pounds? And like, you're kind of like, what am I doing? Like, in Spain, he wouldn't have us like hang clean because he didn't think women liked to do it. Well, I'm sure not all my teammates like to do it, but that's like, for me, doing it with a dumbbell does nothing, And I think as you go, you can use your voice more, but sometimes I'm like, I have no idea how to communicate or to really have the conversation, because also I don't want to be disrespectful. And so I want to be like, no, I want to do it this way. Can I? So yeah, it's been really interesting. It's really a variety. One of my years when I went to the same team in Switzerland twice. Yeah, like back-to-back years. And in between, he was like, yeah, we really need to work on your like endurance. So I'm like, all right, thinking about how my head goes more to lifting, and I like lifting. And he's like, we're going to have you run 4 times a week for 40 to 60 minutes. And I was like, the most I ran in my life before that was 22 minutes. And I was so proud of those 22 minutes. Like, and then I was like, but what about lifting? And he's like, no, we'll deal with that when the time comes. And I was like, I can't run that many days. I think the most I did was 3 times a week. I never got to 4. I'm like, oh, I gotta do my own thing. So you find your balance, but yeah, they're all different. There's so many different like philosophies on it, really.
And well, Meg, not to judge, I might say that you don't have the runner's build. Can I say that?
Yeah, we can.
God might not have made you to run.
We can put that in bold, underline, italicized letters. I don't care what we put that in.
Because so listeners who don't know you, you're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah. 6'4".
I forgot how tall you were. Sorry.
No. Yeah. 6'4", not a runner.
Yeah. There aren't many 6'4" females that are, running the 5K in the Olympics. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I wouldn't peg them as tall as
no. Works well for volleyball though. So that's
it's great. Super helpful.
That's fine. What do you notice on the coaching side of things? And because I and again, me not knowing sport of volleyball to coach it well enough, but the European style of coaching versus what we have in the US.
Yeah, I would say there's like way more of an expectation to have all the players be way more well-rounded. Okay. I think like in the States, or what I've noticed is like, for example, the first time I played volleyball, they pegged me as a middle. Now, great, I'm playing pro. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's really, you get kind of pinned in early and then you don't develop all the other skills. So in college, I got way better at passing because it was I had to. I didn't have an option. And then now you're abroad and you're expected to be just at that same level. I mean, obviously there's differences and you don't practice it as much and whatever, but your ball control is supposed to be way better. The serving, the liberos don't serve. So then you're automatically expected to be at a level. My first year, the coach was like, your serving just isn't good enough. And I was like, right. Like, you can't say anything.
Yeah,
you can just say, okay. I think they're way more blunt. They can comment on your weight as much as they want, which I've experienced far too much, to be honest. And it's no filters. They can scream and cuss at you. Like, that's more common, I would say. But at the same time, you're all adults playing volleyball. Like, you should be able to handle it. There's a really like my coach in Switzerland though was like a really, really nice, like it was my friend's mom actually. And so I was really chill. And I came from a guy who was crazy. And then I went to a guy who was crazy. So I do appreciate my years there a lot. And this year he's way more relaxed. And he's like, okay, like you have to figure your own stuff out because that's on you. So there's such a variety, but yeah, I would say they're far more blunt and have way higher of expectations, just like off the base. And then from there, I think it is what it is and they'll coach you for that. But in the beginning, that's like, okay, you need to be at this level now.
Yeah. Do you see because I would kind of assume that in the sense of, hey, you're a professional athlete, you need to take care of your business, you need to come in shape, you need to be able to take care of your body, you need to be able to get the rest and recovery that you need to. You know what's coming. You know what practice is going to be like. You know what these games are like. You know what the travel is supposed to be like. I mean, is that a pretty? Is that the difference between somebody succeeding playing professionally and somebody not succeeding? Because some kids I know like have been almost spoon fed everything. Their whole, I went to this school and they told me when to eat and when to sleep and when to go to bed and when to do my study hours and when to do, and then all of a sudden they get some flexibility and they don't know what to do.
Oh gosh, for sure. Well, you're just expected to be there at those times, and then you're supposed to be ready at those times, and then from there it's like, what you want. Be smart, because the next day you do the same thing. And my first year, I was so lost, because during those practice times, it's great. And then in between, you're like, what am I doing? And like, our living conditions weren't great my first year. We made barely any money. Like, not that it's not the reason I play, but we're just barely living in Czech Republic. And then you're in Czech Republic. Like, it's not the first place people are like, woohoo, let's go there, No. And now more and more, like, I have way more of my own like rhythm. Like, I have some of my own recovery tools that I've invested in, because my body needs that to make it through the season. I'm way better about my like nutrition and understanding what my body needs, and like way more focused on that. And I think that now that's helpful, but there's no one telling you like, be here. They're like, hey, here's the schedule for the week. If you forget on Thursday what time practice is, like, that's on you, know? And there's way more of that, where I think in college it's like, oh, but they have school and this, and we understand, and there's patience. Like, they don't really care. Like, it's your job,
Yeah.
And that when you think about it like that, when volleyball, and so I was like, oh, it's professional volleyball, and it's kind of the same as college. It's like, yeah, in some ways, yeah, but there's no one if you miss practice, you miss practice. Yeah. Like, we had a girl this year and she wasn't in the gym, and I was like, we should probably call her, because like, I think there's still like I had a Canadian teammate. She played at Michigan State, and so we have very much that similar USA American like college. There's some things that are ingrained in you. And I was like, should we call her? She's gonna be late and then she's gonna get in trouble. Our coach didn't notice. Like, practice was about to start. I called her. I'm like, where are you? And she's like, oh my God, I forgot I'm coming. And then she showed up, and everyone was like, all right, let's go. Like, it's crazy. Really, it's just a different world.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, so Meg, with all the different teams, different travel, talk language barrier. I guess I'm curious how, like,
language.
So currently in Germany, does your coach in German?
No, he to the German girls, yes. To everyone else, no. This is okay. But we have a lot of foreigners on our team, the most I've had. So the common language between everyone is English. So that's really nice. Yeah. Spain. When I was in Spain, it was okay. I took Spanish in high school. I would recommend kids to just focus on their languages a little bit more, because it's so helpful. And I did not care because it was hard. That's why I didn't care. To be honest. And now I'm like, why did I not like really use this? But thankfully I was in Switzerland before, so I had French, and then I had some of my Spanish. So by the end I was okay. I was speaking Spanish pretty okay. But our coach would do couple sentences in Spanish, a couple in English, and keep going back and forth, because I had teammates who didn't speak English, which was interesting. Switzerland, all my teammates spoke English or understood, but our coach wasn't as confident. So normally they translated, but my second year, I didn't need it. So then I would either help translate for the other Americans that we had, or one of our teammates would. But the second year was really easy, and way more. I got coached way more in French than I did in English. And then, but my first year in Czech, almost none of my teammates spoke English. And like, that was really hard. And our coach, he spoke both, but he had to speak in Czech, because otherwise the majority of the girls didn't understand. And then he was like, and Czech is a language and nothing's impossible, but I would say that would be close to impossible to learn. And she had a teammate, not thankfully, but she was out with an injury. So thankfully she was always by our sides, which was really nice. And she was our lifesaver. But he would like in the games in the beginning, I'd say the first half of the season, he screamed at me in Czech. He would just be like screaming in Czech, which was really funny because you obviously know what you did. I mean, more times than not, you know that you missed a block or you didn't go for the ball or what. I mean, whatever the situation is. And then he'd yell in Czech. So it's funny. And then like halfway through, he switched in English. And I was like, one day I was like, can you go back to Czech? Because I like it way better than you actually yelling me where I understand. Yeah.
I like you to point out mistakes in a language that I have no idea what you're saying.
Not an idea. Because then it makes it way easier. I'm like, oh yeah, I know there's a hole in the block. Sorry. Like, I'll be better. Like, yeah.
What's your favorite thing about playing professionally? What keeps you there?
Like this year, the atmosphere in the gym was just like the most unreal thing I've experienced. And like, we have these fans that like live and breathe blue and yellow and come to the gym, and there's drums and like this. I mean, you're playing more times than not. You're playing for a similar goal. Like I think in high school, it's people are playing for whatever their reason. And in college, it's closer, but still people have their own reasons. And then like now, like more people than not just want to win medals and keep moving up in their careers. And I've met some really amazing people along the way. Like obviously you don't keep in contact with all of your teammates for sure, but some of the people you're with, like I would never imagine my life without. And I mean, Europe is amazing. Like there's really a lot of positives, and like the lifestyle in the sense of like, I only have 2 practices a day, or some days I'll wake up early to lift and then I won't have practice till 5. And then you have that whole day. And there's a lot of like coffee shops and little restaurants. And like the city I'm in now has a castle in the middle of it. So it's really nice to just go sit by. And I feel like I've learned a lot just kind of in life too about being abroad and stuff. And there's a lot of positives, but there's a lot of really good people that keep it going. I think if I could meet the good people, I don't know if I'd keep going.
Yeah. I love the part that you said with, you know, high school to college to the, you know, professional piece. When people are all on the, you know, all on the boat with the same goal, driving, you know, as hard as they possibly can, and everybody totally buys in. That's my favorite, absolute favorite thing with sport.
You would think it would happen more almost. And it doesn't, but when you do have it and you're just like in that group or whatever it is that you have, that everyone is like, we're going, it changes everything. Like I just played in a VLA tournament this past weekend, and it was with like a random group of girls. Like we kind of all knew each other of some sort, and it's like adult volleyball, and we were just there to have fun and there to win. And it was like the best volleyball. Like it was so enjoyable. You know, like it changes sports. It takes so much pressure off of it when you all have one goal and you're like, all right, we're going to do it and we're going to enjoy it. Like, let's go. Yeah.
That's awesome. Was that at Madtown?
Yeah. It was. It's a really nice facility. Yeah.
It is a really nice facility. Holy cow. Yeah. Not a cheap facility either.
No, I can't imagine that. No.
Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah. That's awesome. How, in the way of your plan, is this just a year-to-year thing? Is that the plan?
It's tough to say because I really feel my body getting older and older. We always joke.
Are you 30 yet, Meg? You're not 30 yet, are you?
I'm turning 27 in a couple weeks, so soon.
20. Oh,
I know. But 10 months is a long time of volleyball. I tell you this. In my head right now, I'd like to play at least 2 more. I want to go to this. I have another year of this contract here, and then maybe another country, maybe back to when I played in. I don't really know. I think like I think I've set myself up in a little bit of the mindset of just having no idea going into it. Like, I had no expectations on going and playing. Like my goal was to play in Germany because EJ played in Germany and it was amazing. And she's really talented. And I was like, okay, let's do it, you know? And then the league was good. And then now I got to Germany and I'm like, oh, I'm competing. Like it just are things I never thought I'd be able to do. I thought, okay, I play a year. Great. Then I got a next contract. Okay, stay another year because I love the people there. Great. Now I'm going to go to a different, like, I say a couple more years, but I don't know if I'm in a rush to stop. And I'm really thankful to not have to be in a rush to stop. I don't know. I like it. I like making the connections, and the fans are just so thankful when you high five them after a game and when you take pictures, and there's kids that are like, oh my God, you're a volleyball player, you know? And it's like, if what I'm doing makes that much of a difference in your life, I don't think I'm in the worst place, you know? Like,
there are worse things.
There
yes.
are worse things. Yeah.
Oh. Meg, I think it's awesome. I just coughed right in the mic. Sorry. I think it's sorry. I'm still going back to that, you know, everybody on the same page thing. I think I've always enjoyed college sport more than I have pro sport, because when you get in pro, it gets everything. I talk US pro,
yeah.
European pro, but you money and contracts and different things, and I don't know, good or bad, whatever. The NIL stuff has trickled down into the college thing, and I feel like I miss when I miss college basketball in the 1980s, you know, when Jordan was a senior, you know, and like, you know, that stuff. And now if you're a good player, you're done after 1 year or whatever it is.
Right.
And what you're able to be a part of, and again, in the way of, you know, fans losing their mind and bleeding, you know, blue and gold, because they love the sport so much.
Yeah.
They're so passionate about their team. Everybody on your team is passionate about what they're doing.
Right.
You're not making millions, but you're doing okay, you know,
Exactly.
so it's not like millions of dollars that are keeping you there. It's a little money, but then the love of the game. And that, I think, is just, I don't know. It's not really sexy, but that's awesome. Like, that's so cool.
No, exactly. And like, there gets to be a part of the year where people start to like think about their contracts for next season, and you can kind of see it a little bit. And it's like, it shifts you back on those moments on like, yes, it's important making your next step. And the majority of my teammates were on their are on their national teams. And yeah, that's not something really that happens so much in the States, with them only taking a small amount of players for how big the states are. And like, you see it, and it's like, I'm just so thankful to also be able to take that step back and say, okay, like, let's just go play. Like, let's just go enjoy it. Like, I think more times than not, the girls are like that, and it's really nice.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. When you're home, because you got home about a month ago, and you're here till August?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we do during this home time?
Well, this is the first year I took time actually off, which is really nice. I'm just starting to work out again. So yeah, I mean, a huge part of my summer is training to go back. But I also coach camps in high schools around Wisconsin. So I have 10 days this summer, and I'll go into the high school, do a 2-day camp, sometimes work with the middle schools, and I think I have 5 different locations this year, and I love doing it. I don't really have the chance to coach over there. I did in Switzerland, which was really nice, and I really loved it. But it's nice I think it's really important to give back to what's like given to you. And this sport has given me a ton. And if I can, for 10 days in the summer, go coach camps, like, it's huge. And if I can make a difference, at least in like one kid's life, then it's really nice. So yeah, I have those. And then, yeah, my sister gets married this summer, but like, besides that, I don't do too much, which is nice. I really enjoy kind of just having some time. I live with my parents in the summer, so we just kind of build up a lot of time that we don't get during the year. And
yeah, I bet they love that.
Yes, they are big fans. I also
do they get over to watch you play very often?
No, my dad's retired now, but my mom's a teacher, so it's hard to get there during the school year. But they did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But they did. 1 year when I was back in Switzerland, they also came with me, and we spent 2 weeks going around Switzerland, which was incredible. And you feel so proud showing them something that's like yours, you know. not that the country's mine or anything, but like
it's mine. I did this. See those mountains? These are my mountains.
Mine. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
What so we're before we got on video, we had some back and forth. Your little physical therapy appointment.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that, and I'm curious about like other injury stuff in the way of
I've been pretty, knock on wood, pretty fortunate after I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. So that's always a thing I need to be aware of. Okay, making sure my shoulder's strong, my core strong, I have good mobility, stuff like this. But like in the end of January of this season, I hurt my elbow. So that's a really unfortunate thing on your right arm as a middle blocker. Like that's not the best place to have an injury. I had some damage to the.
How'd you hurt it?
Off of a block.
Oh.
I just like wasn't as strong as I like needed to be, and then it like did one of those, and but there's not ever breaks in your schedule normally, so I kept playing, which is also partly a choice, partly that I was starting to play really well and earn some playing time, so I just wanted to keep going because that's very unfortunate timing. And then now I have nerve damage to it, so I healed the ligament part, but the nerve stuff is still there, so I did some extra imaging on that and just have a better plan on what to do in the future, because I do go back and it's not that. But besides that, I've been pretty healthy. Like I feel my knees way more than I ever have. I feel like that's the next biggest thing, but I've been really lucky, and like this past year we had a really good physio. It's just like a physical therapist, but they're called physios there. And she is like was the glue of our team. She's leaving next year, so I'm really sad about that. But like they had a really nice resources in Germany, and the team I was at had a lot of money, so there was a lot of like machines to use and stuff like that, and it's not like that everywhere. Like Czech, Switzerland, even in Spain, we had a little bit more of a physio, but you don't really have those resources always, which I think is another reason why some people don't make it, is because you go from these universities in the States that you have everything you need and more, and you get abroad and it's like, what's ice and why do you think you need it, you know?
Nice. Yeah. So how bad is the elbow right now?
We're okay. I had to wear, we called it a robo arm, but I had to wear this brace that was like from here to here, and it was locked. So I could only extend so far. So I feel like I have some kind of lingering stuff because I feel like it messed up my arm swing. Like I don't feel as confident in my arm swing right now as I did like say before it happened. And then the imaging, basically they have to kind of go back and consult about it. But like the nerve is like in one area double the size of a different area. So it's more or less like, I think right now, and until I can't handle it, it'll be very symptomatic. But there's a procedure, like a surgery you can do that moves the nerve here into the front of your arm. Just the only thing about that is that's also where we get hit with volleyballs and stuff. So there's a different way you can put it underneath the muscle, but that's far more like a way longer recovery. The scar will be bigger. So it's just a lot of that I'm hoping they don't say anything, but no, but it's kind of life. Yeah, my dog's right here. But
he's on the podcast. What kind of dog do you have, Meg?
A yellow lab.
Oh, there we go.
He can.
Oh, yeah. He's protecting the home.
He's enormous. He thinks he's a really good protector. He really thinks so. But yeah.
Very cool. Meg, what do we miss? What do you wish I would have asked you?
Well, we talked a little bit off the camera, talking about like the different paths to get to sports. And I would really say that like, I think it's hard now just with how athletics were, but I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and I couldn't be more thankful that I was. First, because it shifted my mentality so much. And so you weren't always like focused on one thing, or you don't really get it. But I was like a basketball kid my whole life. Like I was convinced I would be in the NBA, not the WNBA. I was going straight with the men, you know? And I loved it. And then I got burnt out in high school. And like, I did a little bit of AAU and I mean, like, I enjoyed the sport so much. But by the time high school was done, I was like, kind of like I could never see a basketball again and I'd be okay. And then you can take a step back and appreciate the sport. But like I started volleyball late. I was in track and field. We did other sports growing up, like everything. And because of that exposure, like I think I'm way more athletic than I would have been. And then also like I started volleyball 8th grade, which now is like late. We said it in a little, like we had a little question and answer when I was abroad. And they were like, you started at 14. Are you kidding me? And I was like, what do you mean? Are you kidding me? This is a great time, you know? And I know it's hard to balance it. I mean, it was tough. We would have basketball practice, drive an hour to Appleton, like Fox Cities, to do club practice, get back at 11 and practically do it all the next day, you know? And like, it's not easy, but I really wouldn't be playing volleyball still if it wasn't for being in more than one sport. And I know it's hard, but it's so worth it. Like for me, it was there was no other way, because also my parents said in the beginning, I think they might have been joking, but like if we didn't do sports, then we'd have to work. I didn't want to work. Athletics wasn't working. So then it all really paid off. I'm really thankful for that. But I think that's a huge thing. I think it's really hard now, but it's so important.
Yeah. I think that's a hard thing for parents. My boys are 12 and 9 now, and it's the option for my kids to go club in different sports and literally have a 9-year-old commit to a sport for 11 months a year, which I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Like it's
insane. And like it is hard. Like I know, because I coached a couple years at VC, and I know you want your kids at practice. Like what coach doesn't want their kids at practice? And like it's hard to find a balance, and it's hard to make it work. Especially now, I feel like times were also different when I was going in club and stuff, but even then they were not happy that we were multi-sport athletes. But like it's hard because I get it. I get committing to it. I get focusing your life on it. But if I would have focused on volleyball then, I would not be still playing. Like there's such a burnout, and there's an aspect of fun, and I get it. Sports are serious and we need to be like, there's no point. Like there's too much pressure. You're not playing well if you're under pressure. You're not playing well if you're mad or if you're stressed or whatever. That our body, like I would have that conversation any day on that doesn't help us, you know? Yeah. And okay, being fired up, but being fired up and then being like, oh, I have to do this. You're not, no way. Your body's not in a good state to play, you know? So, yeah.
When you hate it.
Oh my God, it's not worth it, you know? Yeah. Like even now, sometimes I have teammates and they're like, oh, another practice. I'm like, you gotta stop. You need you need a break. You need to take a step back. You need to miss it and then come back, you know? But it's tough. It's a different world, but it's so important to not do it all day, every day.
Yeah. I struggle trying to, because I've seen kids be like successful on both sides of the coin. Like we have, you know, the wrestling club, the Honega Wrestling Club my kids are involved with, the Cassiope brothers, the twins they're freshmen, and I swear they're 15 years old. They've been wrestling for 42 years. Like they absolutely love this, but they don't do anything else, but they love it. Like they are so into it. They're you know, their older brother Tony wrestles at Iowa, older sister Rose wrestles at Iowa. Like they just, now they're wired up like that, and they could do it. I know a lot of kids that if they did that, they'd be so burnt out, they'd be, you know, so done and over it. And it's crazy because it's so hard. And really on the strength conditioning side of things, and I say strength conditioning, but it's almost like health and performance. Like we're trying to balance the stressors that all these kids have, and they go, you know, through a club season, which is hard and taxing, and they hit spring sports. And we coach volleyball players. A lot of them are jumpers, which means a lot of them are athletic, which means a lot of them, you know, are fast, and a lot of them are tall. Yeah. Sydney Stanfield just got 5th in state at, you know, throwing the shot put.
Huge.
Like some athletes, but like the track coach just thinks, oh, these are my track athletes, and we're gonna push them to the limit. And the volleyball club coach is like, oh, we have these club volleyball, we're gonna push them to the limit. And hey, we have these, we're gonna push them to the. And then all of a sudden, everybody's pushed to the limit a couple times over because kids are trying to, stay balanced with that. And I think it's really, really hard. I think you're right. I think sometimes you do have to miss stuff, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And
it's hard. It is this season. That was the first time I ever took myself out of a practice in like my entire life. And I mentally was just at a limit, and it was a weightlifting session, and I was in a third middle row. So at times I'd play a lot, at times I wouldn't play, at times I'd go into serve, at times I wouldn't. I had no idea ever what was going to come at me, which is great. Really a lot of learning. Glad I had it. It's not an easy role to be in, but okay. And so then in my head, I was like, I have to be at everything. I have to have extra reps. I have to go in for longer weights or more cardio or whatever, because I'm not playing these matches, which when you take a step back, it doesn't make that much of a difference. But in your head, there's a difference. Mm-hmm. And I got to a lift, and like I was like, my head was anywhere but in the city. Like I couldn't get through the lift. And I went to our physio because she was the easiest person to like talk to get things out. And I was like, I think I'm more at a risk to be in practice right now, to be in this lift, than I am that this lift is going to benefit me. And she was like, okay, what do we do? And I was like, well, if you're going to tell me I'm going to get in trouble or lose my chance to play, I will go back. But otherwise, I think I need to go home. And I was like, mentally, I can't do it. Physically, I can, but then with like no weight, because otherwise I'm at a risk for everything. Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, go home. And I felt at the beginning, I felt awful for it. So I'm like, I'm not pushing enough. I'm wasting my chance. I'm this, and all that gets in your head. And then I like went home, sat down, fell asleep, woke back up, and was like, oh, like my body, I could feel was like, and then she's like, okay, don't come to practice at all. And I was like, okay, well, no, that I have to be at. But then, then the expectation's a little bit different. And it was the first time ever I was like, okay, it's okay not to feel bad about missing something.
Yeah.
But that's such a hard thing. And I'm glad I learned that at 26. If I could have known that a couple years back, I think it would have been different. But there is a lot of pressure on it. And no kid wants to miss anything. No, you're with your friends. You're doing stuff. Yeah, maybe they're like, oh, I don't want to be here today. But or like at the bottom of the line, I think they want to be there. It's hard. It's tough.
Yeah, I know we had during that COVID time. Meg, do you remember COVID? Do you remember that thing?
Yeah, a little too well.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
So we had it, the way it worked out, because it came at the end of club season, and then as things started to open up, we continued the club season. And then volleyball, that was supposed to be a fall season. Even an intruder, Meg, even an intruder.
You'd believe there'd be way more intruders than there actually are with him.
Robert, no, going into the fall season, they volleyball is supposed to be in schools. Well, as an indoor sport, they didn't want go down, so they moved it to the spring. And so they continued. So we could private facility. We could continue to train, but basically their clubs. And then so we went all the way up until the spring season, which was then February. Right. So like we started Thanksgiving of 2019 and went all the way to February of 2021. Yeah. And we had those seniors. I felt so bad for those kids, because at the end of it, they're like, we're tired of this building. We're tired of these four walls. Yeah. And obviously there was COVID crap with that too, where like you couldn't even see humans, and that whole thing was so freaking weird. But it was, I felt so bad for them, because something that they were so passionate about, a couple of years earlier, just like got beaten into them. And let's be clear, I'm not blaming VC in any of this. Right? We're just trying to we need kids to move. We want kids to exercise. Yeah. We want them to interact, be with their teams. We don't want them like at home just on TikTok. Like that's not going to help anybody. But man, it was a rough time. So that burnout thing is such a real thing. And I think it's hard for parents to I don't know, to know that, to identify that, to see that. Like you want to support your kid, but you don't want to like you're not trying to live your
Right.
through them, and
I think
it's tough.
it takes the right like combination too, because like sometimes I'll call my parents and I'm like, either you fly over or you book me a flight home, and they're like, is that what you want? And I'm like, because I said it, so it's what I want. And then when you can then take a step back and whatever, but can you imagine my parents are like, yeah, come on, okay, flight's booked, And I think there is a bit of this, like, that's at that level for sure. But when you get to that point, then I think it's tough.
Yeah. There's no easy answer here. There's
not an easy answer.
Because Meg, I agree with you. At the end of the day, if I had my choice, if I had my druthers, in the way of all the kids that I've seen, whatever, come up through it, one of my best clutchest athletes, Kim Boyles back in the day, if we got fouled in basketball, being down one, and she went to the free throw line, I knew we were winning the game because she was so like because she's been in this position before. But she's also the same kid that when we're down at the state cross country meet and we have kids are freaking out, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's state. Da, da, da. She's as cool as a cucumber because she's done this before, and that pressure that she has at the free throw line is, I want to say it's the same, but it's the same pressure that she's feeling, before the state cross country meet or before sectional track, and she's in the 4x8 and you're passing the baton. You have to make sure the handoffs are good and blah, blah, blah. And there's that pressure. And some kids, thrive under pressure and some kids crumble under pressure. But I think when you get it in different ways, it's not the right word there.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial as opposed to, oh man, I have to make this swing. And if I do, great. If we don't, if just that one angle time after time.
And this between individual sport and team sport, because I threw in track and field. So I was completely on my own. Well, completely on your own. And then I went back to team sports. So then you learn, okay, it's on me. If I put the work in, I do. If I put the work in, I do better. If I don't, I don't. And normally that's how it works, And then you see it and you're like, okay, well now I know in my sport, in my position, I am expected to do this, this, and this, and I need to do it. And I think there's a little bit too of that where I'm so thankful for that experience, because now I'm like, also like, I can warm up on my own. I can go do this stuff, and when it's ready, I try to. I don't know how well I always do, but I can turn it on then, Where I think some people, then if you're only in team sport, are you only relying on teammates that aren't always going to be there to help you, or a coach to do something who's maybe not always there? And it's interesting, the different dynamics on it all, really.
Yeah. Well, I think you make an interesting point with the team sport versus the individual sport. My kids have wrestled and played soccer. They've done some swimming. They're going to start some flag football here, in a couple weeks. Yeah. It's so interesting. My oldest, coming off a wrestling season this winter, coming back to this club soccer thing. Again, when you're on the wrestling mat, similar to track and field, you're in the ring all by yourself. You're on the mat all by yourself. Mm-hmm. You win or you lose based off of what you do. You need your training partners. You need good training partners. You need your buddies at practice, supporting you, helping you, pushing you, et cetera, et cetera. But he was so frustrated with some of his soccer teammates, a couple weekends ago, because he felt like he was working his tail off, and he felt like some of his, and so like, that's a great learning experience. Like that is a really like, yeah, buddy, you can only control so much. And if you want to motivate these guys, to do stuff, you can say things, you can lead them. You have to be careful about what you say though. You just can't, yell, nonsense at people. Let's go. Stop. There's a line, and I don't know. These are lifelong skills. I feel these are good.
100%. And that's where, like, I think that's also part of the part where I don't stop, is that I'm learning. So it's like continuous learning, which sounds so cliche. I'm learning about life at a young age. I don't love how that's coming across. However, it's so true. Like, I never thought that I'd still have to be encouraging my teammates to do some of the things you're encouraging them to do, but I'm learning how to do it in a different way. Like, and then imagine how you learn to talk to people, because it's a direct correlation how you're talking to some people in life. And this to me is really interesting. Like that's why I'm so thankful for sports. Yes, I'm sure a lot of people learn it in so many other ways, but the way I've learned a lot of things have just been through sports, because it's been my life. But yeah, there's a lot to learn. It's a lot of communicating. It's a lot of having conversations with people or with coaches, or things you don't want to have, which is obviously uncomfortable, but it's so important, you know? That's really interesting.
So important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
Meg, this was fun.
That was really nice.
Was fun.
Yes.
I really appreciate you taking the time. I love that you're enjoying it as much as you are. Because again, in talking with EJ and Sophie, and like they ended up like, it was hard. They didn't know the language.
Yeah.
It was fun for a time. But then they ended up missing their families, and it got to be too much. Like the negatives outweighed the positives. There were positives. But for you to keep riding this positive horse of, you know, and really enjoying it is really awesome. Like this experience that you're getting is fantastic. So I'm thrilled for you.
Oh, I really appreciate it. I'm beyond thankful, but there's so many people that have been a part of it, and like so many little steps to get there, and like without each of those I really wouldn't still be playing. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I'm really thankful for it, and I appreciate the opportunity to come in.
Yeah. Well, again, this is probably the pinnacle of your career, this podcast
obviously.
Right here. After this,
but it's good to hit a top, you know, because then I know now that I'm on the way down.
Meg, it's funny because I still remember whatever it was 5 years ago when you you came off that shoulder surgery, you know, and you were all like in the brace of whatever, and you know, and just again the little bit of training stuff that we did with you. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this girl's gonna go play professionally, and she's like her shoulders like hanging on.
No,
you know, and now fast forward, here we are. You've done all the things, and you know, you continue to. You know, and again, I think that's such a huge part of it is that taking care of yourself and being reflective and putting that on you, not be like, oh, well, somebody will tell me to, because I've seen too many athletes just keep doing the thing that keeps hurting them. And then all of a sudden, you know, the big injury happens and then they're done. And you just got to be smart with that and own your own health. Nobody else is, you know, playing for you. And you've done that.
You have to take it. I think it's so easy though, when you're young, not to. Even now, though, I was going to say, I really enjoy that. I enjoy seeing the videos and stuff of you guys doing all the strength and conditioning, because like we had stuff, but no one took it seriously. Like it was just so in the beginning, I got to NIU and I didn't know how to lift. And like now I see how important it is and how much our bodies need it. But like that's stuff I never would have done. But now I see how important it is, or like the exercises, like, but after the second surgery, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it again. You know, like that'll be the end of my career, really. Because I always say it, you know, I'm done. Okay. But like, it's the little things. It's taking 15 extra minutes to warm up. If I'm 15 minutes on my phone in my apartment, or I'm 15 minutes at the gym, what's going to benefit me more? Like an extra little stretching session or rolling out. Like I didn't understand, I think, until the last couple of years, really how much of a difference that makes. And then your body's like way happier and you can play better and you're lasting longer. And like, it's such little things. And I think my younger self still would be like, no, but now I see how much importance it has.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Meg, if people want to follow you, they want to see what you're doing out in the world. In Germany, where do they go? How do they find you?
Instagram is great. It's literally Meg Wolowicz. Really easy. Give me a follow on there. Put my name up. I think that's the best way. I'm posting a lot more, or I'm trying to post more because I think it's cool. I think I'm starting to see it's cool what I'm doing. And maybe people like to see it too. So, Instagram's great. My team has a really good media account. They post a lot. So this is also, but you can catch it on my profile as well. So yeah.
There we go. Meg, I love the pictures that are gathered of you are always the most authentic, real, Like you see the love and the excitement and the passion for what you're doing. You don't fake it at all. And it shows in random still shots of you being fired up.
I used to not like it, and now I just try to own it because we're talking about social media and what you never know what's out there. I mean, I'm an open book. So what's out there is what you see is what you get. And like, okay, if someone out there needs to see me being authentic, then that's fine. But I'm sometimes like, are the cameras waiting for this or what? Because it's not necessary.
No, it's awesome. It's
I
awesome.
appreciate it.
Meg, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. We'll tag up everything in the show notes and stuff like that and probably, you'll get 1 billion Instagram followers off this because
I'm waiting for it.
Yes. Because again, highlight. This
no,
is pinnacle
honestly,
here.
I should say I'm really open and I really like talking about athletics and mental health and that side and stuff. And if anybody ever wanted to reach out, I love talking about it. So if I can help anyone, that's kind of my goal in life. So I'm always here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm going to plug you too. Cause I think just knowing, what I do of you, I think you're a very good person for that. I think there's some people that aren't a good person for that, but again, just with your well-roundedness and what you've done and, you have a very unique perspective that I think is very commonsensical that is not extremist in any way, shape or form that people need to hear.
Thank you.
So awesome. Meg, you're fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you.
Listeners, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Don't forget to check us out on the social at Oak Performance and online at www.oakstrength.com/Oak Performance. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.